And I said, your hand's always broken. You ain't known for your punching power since you moved up from lightweight to welterweight. Why are you so sure you're going to do this?
It's wild, because, like, if you look at Floyd's resume, it's much deeper than Crawford's. And Floyd was faster and he had a better defense and all that stuff. But Floyd picked and chose when he fought guys, especially once he left lightweight.
Go off of that, Floyd is the best fighter, in his era. And I feel like I'm the best fighter in my era.
Stephen A. Smith reacts to Floyd Mayweather calling out Terence Crawford by saying that today's boxing world limits certain fighters while exaggerating others. He believes Crawford deserves more recognition because of his skills and accomplishments. Stephen highlights that age plays a factor, and Mayweather is no longer in his prime. According to him, the narrative should focus on Crawford's dominance, rather than unnecessary comparisons or hype that take away from his true greatness.
Think about what he had to say about you when he said, you're way better than Floyd Money Mayweather. I know you heard that he said that. What thoughts came to your mind when you heard that Canelo Alvarez said that about you?
Hey, that's a big compliment. He's been in the ring with both of us, so he would know, from his own experience. A lot of people, they can say this, they can say that, but there's only, a few people that can say they've been in the ring with Terence Crawford and Floyd Mayweather and give their own.
Shane Mosley compared the abilities of Terence Crawford and Floyd Mayweather by pointing out that Crawford is naturally the bigger fighter. He noted that Crawford's size and strength give him an edge that Floyd never had at welterweight. However, Mosley also recognized Mayweather's advantage in technical sharpness and precision. Floyd's mastery of defense and ring IQ allowed him to overcome disadvantages against larger opponents, something Crawford doesn't need to worry about as much. Mosley's take highlights that while Crawford's physical dominance plays a role, Mayweather's legacy was built on pure skill and adaptability.
Who do you think's better out of those two, Crawford or Mayweather?
I think Crawford is better, bigger. He's actually he moved in weight class, and I would say Crawford is a better fight all around fighter. Mayweather is really good too, though. You can knock him as well. He's very talented. It would have been a tough fight, but I think Crawford would have the edge over Mayweather because of the long arms and because he's bigger. You know what I'm saying? And he would have kept him at bay. It would have been hard for Mayweather to counter, maybe. But Mayweather's definitely a technician. I mean, like Crawford said, Mayweather has his era, and Crawford, this is his era.
In an interview with Ariel Helwani, Terence Crawford reminded fans that Canelo Alvarez is in a unique position to judge. Having shared the ring with both Mayweather and Crawford, Canelo's view carries weight. Terence pointed out that their fights happened under very different circumstances. Floyd faced a young, inexperienced Canelo, while Crawford fought him as a seasoned champion at 168 pounds. Despite the size difference, Crawford prevailed, proving his strength and ability against a much bigger opponent. For Crawford, Canelo's acknowledgement that he felt more power from him only reinforces the claim that greatness belongs to different eras.
It was cooking right there because there was this thought, this prevailing thought that the smaller man always loses to the bigger man. This was repeated time and again throughout the fight week. And he proved that that's not the case. Again, I hope you all recognize this was a 168-pounder fighting a 147-pounder. He had one fight at 154 last August, was the undisputed king at 147, beating Errol Spence in July of 2023, came back the following year, fought Israel Madrimov at the soccer stadium in Los Angeles, and then did everything he could to get this fight, played his cards the right way, and there he was, standing face-to-face against Canelo Alvarez, who did seem for the longest time like he didn't want to take this fight, and because there was great risk involved, because not only is Terence Crawford one of the all-time best fighters in the history of the sport, he's smaller than him, so a lot of people would be like, oh, of course you're going to beat the smaller guy, right? But I think Canelo recognized, yeah, he might be smaller, but he's that damn good.
Trainer Greg Hackett took a different stance by emphasizing that Floyd Mayweather was a complete fighter when he fought Canelo. According to Hackett, Floyd's style at that stage was polished, disciplined, and unshakable, something that Crawford's wilder and more aggressive approach doesn't fully match. Hackett argued that Crawford relies on explosive counters and adaptability, but Floyd's mastery was about flawless execution from start to finish. While he respects Crawford's achievements, Hackett believes Mayweather's version of perfection against Canelo was still something unmatched.
The Floyd Mayweather that Canelo Alvarez fought.
Yeah.
In the last version of Terence Crawford that we've seen in the ring.
Yeah.
Who's the better fighter, Jeff?
Of course you got to give it to Floyd. Floyd at that time, Ben, what's up? Floyd at that time versus Canelo was in total confidence. His skill set, his IQ, you know what I'm saying? Everything he do, he was just a complete fighter that night. But I feel like was up against a lot because he was fighting a guy that we knew something about, but we ain't know too much about. People don't understand how much a fighter could be thrown off by what he don't know. And the reason it throws you off is because you're actually learning about the fighter while you're in there. That's what Bud went up against that night. That's why he didn't look so great. To me, I could be wrong, but he didn't look so great to me because he was learning a lot about Madrimov while he was in there with Madrimov.
Max Kellerman analyzed the contrast in how both fighters approached their careers. He explained that once Floyd left the lightweight division, he became extremely selective with opponents, making sure every fight was strategic. Crawford, however, has taken a different route, often fighting whoever was available without hesitation. This has made Crawford appear more daring and risk-taking compared to Mayweather's calculated matchmaking. Kellerman argued that this difference doesn't take away from Floyd's greatness, but shows Crawford's willingness to challenge himself across divisions and against dangerous opponents.
It's wild because, like, if you look at Floyd's resume, it's much deeper than Crawford's. And Floyd was faster and he had a better defense and all that stuff. But Floyd picked and chose when he fought guys, especially once he left lightweight. He wiped out the junior lights, bring him. Lightweight, he jumps up to Jose Luis Castillo first thing. A lot of people think he lost the first fight, I didn't, but then he won the rematch. But once he left lightweight, he was careful about when he fought guys. So even though his resume is deeper with names, people remember, but he didn't want it with certain dudes at certain times. Crawford, we all witnessed, even though the resume is thin in certain ways, he wanted it with everyone the whole time. That makes a difference to people.
Crawford confidently stated that if he were to fight a prime version of Floyd Mayweather, he believes he would come out victorious. This wasn't said out of disrespect, but out of belief in his own abilities. Crawford admires Mayweather's skill set, but sees his own versatility, power, and ability to switch stances as tools that would make the difference. For him, it's not about tearing down Floyd's achievements, but about embracing the competitive spirit that defines boxing greatness.
Who do you think wins in a fight, you or Prime Floyd?
Me.
No questions?
Why would you think that I would say Floyd? You know, that's one of my favorite fighters. But yeah, nah.
Jeff Mayweather, Floyd's uncle, reminded fans that when Floyd fought Canelo, he was already past his prime years. He was older, slower, and not as sharp as the version that dominated lighter divisions. Despite that, Floyd still schooled Canelo with his experience and timing. Jeff believes this fact is often overlooked when people compare Crawford's win over Canelo to Floyd's. His argument is that context matters. Floyd was fading, while Crawford is still near his peak, which makes direct comparisons complicated.
Well, also, if we remember, Canelo at that time was a razor-thin decision. Floyd won, majority decision. C.J. Ross had it with what a lot of people had as a draw. And then the other two judges scored it for Floyd, of course. And that was a Floyd at the top of his game with a very green Canelo with very little experience, and he still took him, into deep waters. So
what was Canelo? What, 20-something? 20 what? 23, 25?
Yeah, he was. Very, very young in the game, obviously.
Very young. He had more fights than Floyd, and he lost.
Yeah, but
a man that was 30-something years old, 36.
But Floyd was clearly at the top of his career, and Canelo had fought a lot of people.
How are you at the top of your career in your prime? You in your prime. You ain't in your prime when you're at 36. That's not your prime.
Did he lose? I mean,
your prime is in your 20s.
It's different for different people.
Yeah, okay. Well, so, and that's why Canelo was saying what he's saying.
Don't you?
Want to make himself look like he did something great?
Stephen A. Smith gave his perspective on Crawford's victory over Canelo, calling it one of the most entertaining performances in recent memory. He praised how Crawford, despite being seen as the smaller and weaker man, completely outclassed a much larger opponent. For Stephen A., this fight showcased not only Crawford's talent, but also his ability to deliver a spectacle for the fans. He highlighted how boxing needs fighters like Crawford who bring both skill and excitement, making each bout unforgettable.
70,482 people showed up for this fight. But the biggest props of the night goes to Terence Crawford, who did not disappoint. He was supposed to be the smaller man. He was supposed to be the weaker man. He was supposed to be the man that was going to spend the entire night on his bicycle, running for his damn life because Saul Canelo Alvarez was coming his way. That is not what happened. What happened instead, ladies and gentlemen, was a masterclass in boxing by Terence Crawford. Now, to me, the fight, some people were saying it was just severely lopsided and stuff like that. I'm not going for that. I'm not feeling that at all. It wasn't like that at all, okay? I had the fight 5-4 in favor of Terence Crawford after 9 rounds. It could have gone either way. And then he basically put on a boxing clinic over the last 3 rounds of the fight. And one rounds 10, 11, and 12. He used his jab. He kept his distance. He exchanged when necessary, which is something that I was scared to death of him doing. But he wasn't scared at all. Okay?
Another boxing analyst acknowledged that Floyd Mayweather has the bigger global fan base due to his long undefeated streak and massive pay-per-view presence. However, when it comes to pure talent, he argued that Terence Crawford might actually surpass him. As a natural southpaw who can switch seamlessly between stances, Crawford's style is unpredictable and difficult to solve. His timing, accuracy, and calmness in the ring allow him to control fights in ways that remind fans of Mayweather, but with his own unique twist.
Terence Crawford versus Floyd Mayweather Jr. Who wins this fight? I'm going with Terence Crawford, and I don't think that's unpopular or crazy to say. I think most people will agree with me. I understand Floyd Mayweather has a lot of fans out there, but the truth is, as great as Floyd Mayweather is, Terence Crawford is one of one. And I say that because who else has knockout power in both hands, is able to switch stances between orthodox and southpaw so seamlessly while having great footwork? It's not like Terence Crawford is some stationary target or a flat-footed fighter that's going to be chasing Floyd around. Terence Crawford knows how to cut the ring off. He has tremendous ring IQ. And not only is he a great boxer, but he's a great fighter. He'll be able to make it dirty. If he is on the inside with Floyd, that power will carry him far. And I just don't see how Floyd will be able to beat a Terence Crawford. I really don't see it. I understand Floyd's defense is incredible, but he is smaller than Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford would have a significant reach advantage on Floyd Mayweather. I believe Terence Crawford would also be taller than Floyd Mayweather, as well as all the skillful and technical aspects of what I just laid out prior. So I don't understand how anybody could pick Floyd Mayweather to beat Terence Crawford. Styles make fights, and I believe Terence has the style to beat one Floyd Mayweather. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Whether you agree or disagree, it doesn't matter. Join the discussion, subscribe for more, and leave a like if you enjoyed the time spent. Thank you. You are all appreciated.
Many within the boxing world remain skeptical of the constant comparisons between Floyd Mayweather and Terence Crawford. They argue that Mayweather's dominance was truly one of a kind and cannot be replicated, no matter how successful Crawford becomes. To them, Mayweather's defensive brilliance, unmatched ring IQ, and ability to control fights with surgical precision set him apart in a way that no fighter has duplicated. On the other hand, critics claim Crawford's rise is being fueled more by hype than reality, with fans desperate to crown him as the successor to Floyd's throne. They point out that Crawford and Mayweather have very different styles and career paths. Floyd's was built on defensive mastery and business acumen, while Crawford thrives on switching stances, aggression, and risk-taking. For these observers, the comparisons overlook these differences and are more a product of excitement from fans than true likeness, making the discussion largely exaggerated.
You guys say it with me. Terence Crawford isn't Mayweather. I need you guys to sit here, grab somebody close to you, hold their hand, sit down, Say it with me. Terence Crawford is not Floyd Mayweather. They're just both black. That's the only similarities they have. They both black. Terence Crawford loves being hit. The guy likes to scrap. He likes to brawl. Terence Crawford isn't even an Alexander Usyk. This guy loves being hit. He gets a thrill out of it. He sticks his tongue at his opponents when he is hit. Look at that. He enjoys that stuff. He tends to fight with low hands at times. He tends to exchange and brawl in the pocket, plant and fire, despite him having really great feet. Sometimes he likes to sit there and fire. You have Terence Crawford beating Canelo, that's fine. I get you. But don't bring up Floyd Mayweather. No similarities. Floyd was way quicker, way sharper, better defensively, better reflexes, better timing, better IQ, better damn near everything. So say it with me one more time before we go. Terence Crawford, I'm gonna give you, we said it, is not Floyd Mayweather. There we go.
One achievement that sets Crawford apart is his historic accomplishment of becoming the first boxer in history to be an undisputed champion in 3 different weight divisions. This feat proves not only his versatility, but also his longevity across multiple weight classes. Unlike Floyd, who never fully unified at welterweight or super welterweight, Crawford has stacked up titles in a way that no other fighter has done before. This achievement solidifies his place in history and makes his legacy unique from Mayweather's.
Terence Bud Crawford defeats Canelo Alvarez and becomes the first ever male 3-division undisputed champion in boxing history. Thank God the judges got this one right. But wow, what a technical battle this was. It was a very close fight, but as it went on, Terence was getting more and more comfortable in there. I remember in the 7th round, he even stood right in front of Canelo and fought him on the inside. Then in rounds 9 through 12, Crawford really started to open up on his flurries, gaining Canelo's respect. But the reason Crawford won this fight was because he was surprisingly durable at 168. He was able to do his thing because for the 36 minutes he was in there with Canelo, he was never really worried about what was coming back at him. I mean, Canelo just kept going to Terrence's right side of his body, and that stung a couple times, but those were the really only hard shots Canelo landed. Unfortunately, this is terrible for Canelo's legacy because the smaller man beat him up, and Canelo's kind of been cherry picking his opponents the last couple years. But well deserved for Terence Crawford. It's going to look amazing on his legacy. Boxing got it right tonight. On the biggest stage, with the most eyeballs, no controversy, just pure sport. And one of the best ever at the sport got it done tonight, Terence Bud Crawford.
After defeating Canelo, Crawford shared how seriously he took the preparation for that fight. He explained that his entire training camp was focused on building strength and conditioning his body to withstand the challenge of moving up to 168 pounds. Crawford made it clear that his victory wasn't about luck, but about careful planning, discipline, and belief in his own preparation. His recap shows how committed he is to ensuring that every fight adds meaningfully to his career, proving that his era belongs to him.
Everybody was saying, the people that ran with that narrative convinced me that that was a narrative because I don't know the world as much. The thought of not having to lose weight is probably a happier, was it how was camp? Good camp.
It was great. It wasn't a camp that we was focused on weight, so we could just focus on my craft and focus on, getting stronger, which we was already strong, but, uh, we don't know what we up against. So, we definitely want to make sure our body is prepared for whatever onslaught Canelo brings. So of course, we gonna, cross our I's and dot our T's. And that's what we did in training.
You looked unbelievable. You looked absolutely unbelievable. Not that you ever don't, but it's just like, God, this guy looks like he is very prepared. And then as the fight continued, it felt that way. Turkey Al Sheikh deemed you the fighter of the century. And obviously Ring Magazine and TKO come together to put this incredible event together. What has it been like, with the modern world of boxing now, that Riyadh season has gotten involved? And obviously Dana and Nick Khan of the WWE. And it feels like anything is possible in the boxing world now. Is that the big takeaway that we should think after you and Canelo fight and have the success? Or how do you kind of view it all?
Yeah, for sure. Anything is definitely possible. When a lot of people kept saying that what I was trying to accomplish